In our Smile Spotlight segment this morning, folks, we feature the Gleaner Company's new managing director, Christopher Barnes. My bona fide had a chat with him. Take a look.
Christopher Barnes became managing director of one of Jamaica's oldest and well-known institutions, the Gleaner Company, established in 1834, just a little bit before his time. Were you not daunted by the fact that a relative youth is now in charge of an establishment founded back in 1834?
To say no, I will be lying. But in a way, I'm also a little bit peeved because Oliver Clark beat me to it by 4 years. Oliver Clark took over when he was 33. I took over at 37 and I'm now 38. I think that, you know, being here for 4 years under the guidance of Oliver Clark and with the support of the board and the management of the company, they have prepared me to be able to say that it's not as daunting as one would think.
You went to university in Boston and in Canada as a mechanical engineer. So I could understand if you were looking at the presses, but like a lot of people I know who've gone to university, you don't end up doing what you studied there. How did you end up in media?
I ended up in media just based on luck, based on opportunity. You know, to joke with you, really, I found the most comforting place here was in the press room with the mechanical engineering degree. But how it all started was that I was away for 17 years, including school and working for Alcan. And every country that I went to live in, every country that I went to visit, I woke up every morning and said, what would this be like if I were living back in Jamaica? I had all my family and friends there. They had started families and so on. And I got to the point where my next career shift would have taken me away from Jamaica for a very long time, if not life. I would start a family and so on. So I decided that it was time to look in Jamaica. And I sent out some feelers. And naturally in this environment, you don't get interest flooded. I met with a headhunter as a sort of a last-ditch resort. I met with a headhunter the day before I was scheduled to go back to New Jersey, which was where I was located. Had an interview, and she told me that I was too qualified, and she didn't think that there was anything here for me. I interviewed well, but sorry. I left and was prepared to go back and sit down for a little bit longer and see if anything would come up. And I got a call. Can you meet with somebody tomorrow? Or I think it was later that day. And it was Oliver Clark for 2 positions, one with Jamaica National and the other one with the Gleaner Company. Naturally, I wanted the Jamaica National position, given my background in finance and my work experience in finance.
You added finance at university.
I almost failed English in school. That's why I did maths and sciences, right? So
and the complete
journalism, no, right? I interviewed with him, and he said, "Look, I have more of an interest in you for the Gleaner position."
So was he thinking succession planning then?
Absolutely, absolutely. And this was 4 years ago, or even beyond that, because I think it took about a year before we finalized everything. And I took the plunge to move back to Jamaica.
You have a young circle of friends. You have a circuit, and on that circuit are parties and beach trips and whatever. How do you balance that now with a very, very senior position? And do you feel the pressure of scrutiny? One, because you are now in media, but 2, because you have that vaunted position.
It's funny. I would say since my appointment and leading up to my birthday, which was February 22nd, so in that space of a month, there are probably 40 or 50 pictures that appeared of me, you know, in the paper with my suit and tie,
Right.
and nobody said that. They might have said, hey, that was nice. But the one picture that they remember was made in Key. Where I'm standing up with my young friends,
Right.
some of them not so young.
Some of them not so young. In fact, one was celebrating a birthday.
It was a joint birthday party.
Oh, right,
celebrating,
right.
right?
He has another fairly lofty position as well in media.
Exactly. And that's the picture that everybody remembers, right? So all of a sudden, I am this party animal, Chris, you know. Then you try to link it with the Gleaner company. Of course, you're under scrutiny. And indeed, I've had a couple people pull me aside and say, hey, you need to wear this blazer, or you can't be chewing gum while you speak, and so on. And, you know, I accept that. But I don't think that you can be successful without being yourself, right? When it's time to get serious, you get serious. When it is time to loosen up, right? And I mean, you know the pressures of media. It is a very pressuring job. You have to have that opportunity to do so. Now, do you behave a little bit better, or you're more aware of your surroundings when you do what you do? You have to be. But in the main, you got to be yourself.
And so you don't find it a restriction one way or the other?
No. And my friends and my family are very supportive of it. And at the end of the day, that's really what counts.
Where will we see evidence of Chris Barnes in the publication? How will we know that there's a new kid almost literally on the block?
I have a joke for almost every question that you're giving me. Somebody pulled me over at a function the other day and said, you know, Barnes, I can really see that your influence on the paper now, you know. The editorials that you're writing are just fantastic. I don't see Oliver's style coming through anymore. And, you know, you have to pat them on the shoulder and say, you know, yes, that's great, thank you, but it really isn't me who write the editorial.
Well, we know that, but to be fair, in recent times, the editorials have been far more punchy, relevant, and certainly interesting, and it would seem to me right, just getting the pulse of what's going on right. So, but you're saying that's...
I wish I could say that's me, but it is so far from the truth. What you see is the Gleaner responding to what the public wants, to the public sentiment. And indeed, there's an overwhelming cry from the public to get corruption out. And I assume that you're talking about the two recent
I like the gangs of Garden House. I thought that was so appropriate. And the analogies were spot on. And I was pleasantly not surprised to see the response from Garden House, because that's exactly what I would have expected.
You just have to give the editorial staff, the journalists, the environment in which to do stuff like this, which is game-changing stuff. You have to put these issues, regardless of which side you fall on, you have to put it out there for there to be this healthy discussion and debate, which basically drives the policy of the nation. And we're going through a very challenging stage right now, so those two campaigns were very appropriate.